Be Well with TCL is all about health and wellness. Today, it's about change and making yourself part of the equation.
That's a St. Paul woman's mantra after losing, get this, 211 pounds and keeping all that weight off for 3 years. She's here with her inspirational story. We want to welcome Schaefer to Twin Cities Live. Hi, Lori. Hi. Nice to have you here. 211 pounds. That's a whole nother person and then some.
A big person.
Man.
So how did you do that? You came down from your highest weight was 381, and you lose 211 pounds. Also, as we're talking numbers, this is really impressive. 63% body fat before, 14.5 after. How on earth did you accomplish this?
Yeah, where did it start?
Well, it started the good old-fashioned way with diet and exercise and determination. But for me, the secret this time and what worked this time that didn't every other time I tried was the head game. I changed my thinking, and it started with believing I could do it, and then putting myself, before I wasn't even in the equation of my life, I was doing everything for everybody else, working 12 to 18-hour days in my startup business, and I wasn't even in the picture. And so it was putting myself back in the center and taking care of my health and wellness first. And I think people are afraid to do that.
Yeah.
Now, in the midst of this, you had was it a chance encounter with O'Neill Hampton? Explain this.
Yeah, what happened for me is when I was becoming aware of what I was practicing that was not working, living on a diet of fast food and processed food, not sleeping, working all the time, I started to get very uncomfortable with that. And it was at that time, through the work door, that I met O'Neill Hampton from Season 9, Biggest Loser. He and his daughter Sunshine were on the show, and they had just come off and were starting a live-in weight loss boot camp.
And they've been on Twin Cities Live before as well. They did a little cooking with us, okay?
Yeah.
So you met him, you do this boot camp, and that's kind of how you kick it off. And I heard 21 pounds in 2 weeks, is that right? 21 pounds in the 2-week boot camp, but for me what happened, again, it was the head. I went from literally saying I can't about 50 times a day to climbing mountains, and they were proved to me that it's your head that's stopping you. You actually can do it. You're physically capable of so much more. So I walked out with the idea that I can honestly do anything that I make up my mind to do.
You assembled a bit of a dream team, sort of a strategic team around you to help you accomplish this big goal. I want to focus in on a counselor. You had a counselor with you. What sort of breakthroughs, what kind of progress did you get through having just honest, probing conversations?
Well, probably the biggest, I would say, breakthrough for me was I learned how to restart. So too often we think we're not good enough and we beat ourselves up. We're our own worst critic. And when you're on a diet or an exercise program, it's easy when you go off the plan to beat yourself up and use it as evidence that you're not good enough. This time I learned how to restart and basically just say, okay, I'm imperfect. I goofed up. Now I'm going to get back on the plan. So and that's what I did.
What were you holding on to, though, before? Because I know that you, like a lot of people who've tried to lose weight, you've tried it 100 times before. The one time it finally sticks. What were you holding on to in your life that you just couldn't let go before that you were able to finally make this transformation?
I think mostly the belief that I wasn't good enough, that I didn't measure up, and a fear of doing things that you know, frighten you about, you worry about what other people will think. And so it's just breaking through that.
Did you have you mentioned breaking through, did you have a breakdown moment in the midst of this? Because I'm sure that you start to take some weight off, but then you probably hit a wall at some point and it just, everything comes to a head. Yeah,
that's a good question. I hit several, actually. When I hit 50 pounds lost, I had a trainer in the Twin Cities that I worked with because I hated the gym when I first went in. Oh my goodness. And I didn't even know how to move my body. So I hired a trainer here, and she noticed I was struggling. And she said, what are you doing right after this? And I said, going to work. And she said, no, you're not. And we went for a walk. And I cried, and that was a moment of breakthrough. When you first see yourself, and it's a totally different image and body image than you've had in your mind, that can be hard.
So you started blogging about this to really inspire other people to put themselves in the equation. So talk a little bit about your blog. What are you, how are you connecting with people?
Well, it's a lot of fun. I started it when I was in the weight loss boot camp. It's intheequation.com. It comes from my story of you have to put yourself in the center of your own life, your own equation, and take care of your needs. And I started just blogging about my weight loss journey during the boot camp. And then I ended up in the Star Tribune on the front page of the paper. I got an outpouring of support. You wouldn't believe the encouragement. And I realized that I fed off of that. It held me accountable, and it had helped propel me forward. So I've been blogging for 5 years, throughout the whole journey.
The struggle for a lot of people is if they accomplish something like this, if they manage to lose a lot of weight, they celebrate, they take the foot off the gas, a couple years go by, and they're back at square one again. How difficult has the journey been of keeping the weight off?
Yeah, it's been probably more difficult than losing it, and I'm actually more proud of maintaining a 200-pound weight loss for now 3 years. I just celebrated my 3-year anniversary. And it's working at it every day, because it is a mental game, and it is paying attention to what you're doing every day. So it's finding exercise that you like. I love to hike. I love to climb mountains. I've done half marathons. And it's sort of feeding your soul, too, with that kind of exercise. But it is a lot of work.
So, okay, first step, putting yourself in the equation. If somebody out there is putting everybody else, and a lot of women in particular are doing this, you're putting everybody else first, you're not taking the time for yourself. What's one little thing that you can do today to put yourself in that equation of your life?
My answer to that is figure out what one thing will feed you. It could be the most, your soul. It could be just getting up earlier and going for a walk, which is what I started doing, just literally starting my day an hour earlier and spending that hour on, myself before. It's a non-negotiable before I do anything else.
That's good. That's a good word. Hey, quickly before we go, we hold up these old pair of pants. You have no use for them.
Look at this.
Look at that. I mean, golly.
Wow.
Hard to believe.
One leg.
Yeah, I have been in one leg, and a girlfriend's been in another. Yeah.
And you keep these? Is this a nice reminder for you?
It is, and I do. I share my story. I speak now, and you can also find that on my blog and share my inspiration, because it helps me stay in the equation to pay it forward, and it also helps people.
Lori, thank you.
Lori, what a great
really
story.
Nice
Congratulations on all of that. You can read more about Lori's story on her blog, as she mentioned. We've posted a link to that on our website, TwinCitiesLive.com.
All right, coming up next, how you can get a free Como Town Fun Pass tomorrow night. We have the details.